early fall of 1982, my family moved from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, across the state after my dad had lost his job and got a new job in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and we lived in Whitehall. This is just north of Philadelphia. So I was going into seventh grade. I turned 13 that year in October, and in September of 1982, Billy Joel released his album, The Nylon Curtain. And on that album, he has a song entitled Allentown. And my sister was a big Billy Joel fan. And because she was, I was too. She was 16 at the time. And I think this tour date was added later at the fans' request to come and play in the Allentown area. And so the concert was scheduled for December, and then I looked up on Wikipedia to refresh my memory. It says December 27th, 1982. It was one of the final tour dates at Bethlehem's Stabler Arena at Lehigh University. And I remember my sister bugging my mom. She wanted to go spend the night outside the mall to get the tickets, because that's what people did in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I don't think my mother allowed that, but I think she went super early in the morning, stood in line. I joined her later on. And I remember standing online with her, and we got up to the ticket booth. We got our tickets. Gosh, I wish I remembered what they cost. And there weren't too many tickets left. We went into the Whitehall Mall, and we were just jumping up and down. We were so excited that we got tickets. I know this was my first rock concert, and I'm guessing it was my sister's, but you know what? I'm not sure. So I just remember the excitement of we have these tickets to go see Billy Joel. And the night of the concert, I believe one of our parents dropped us off. And Stabler Arena, it's Lehigh University's arena, so it's not gigantic like some of the big city arenas. And we stood and sang and danced to every single song that night. And I remember, so it's my first concert. I don't know, about callbacks and encores. And I want to say he did 10. It was an incredible amount of encores. I since understand now that a lot of that is planned, but it was so exciting. He had so many albums by that time, and to have him play the song Allentown right there in the Lehigh Valley, it was a very exciting time and very exciting memory at the age of 13.
Well, hello, this is Don,
And this is Gina with Focused Healthy Family.
and this is podcast number 112. And today we're talking about music and memories. Before we do that, though, we want to get into give a few minutes just to a sponsor.
And today we're talking about Ask the OT. This is a new program that we're starting where you're going to be able to connect via online, via phone call, Zoom, and ask questions about dealing with elderly parents or loved ones and navigating that journey and incorporating different components, dealing what if your parent has dementia and how are you supposed to get them to listen to you and follow through, and you got to get them out of their house, but they're resistant and yet they can't follow what you're saying and understand. Or maybe you're wondering, does my dad have dementia? Why is he doing these funny things? What's going on? So we're building a community of support. My years of experience as an occupational therapist working primarily in adult and geriatric rehab, and my background also with my family and helping my father navigate the journey of Parkinson's disease for the past 17 years and seeing his decline and his issues with dementia and all the families I've worked with over the years in working with this population. I want to help other people with this, all this information and experience that I've accumulated. And I know how disconnecting it to be. You're juggling multiple things at once. You're going to work, you're taking your kids to high school activities, and now you're helping your parents navigate it. Maybe it's a long distance thing. So come join us in our community.
Yeah, Gina will be doing her first live kind of Q&A talk on April 2nd, 7 p.m. You can find out more about it by going to our website, focusedhealthyfamily.com. And actually, we have a little logo up there about Ask the OT, whether you can click on that and you'll find out more information about how to get involved with this community that we're building. So check us out, and we look forward to you being there asking your questions starting April 2nd. But it's good to join now and get involved with the community. There's a lot of resources up there for you to be able to pull, and we look forward to talking with you.
Yes, feel free to send us questions you have now. And we're back.
Yeah, we're talking about concerts because you're going to one tonight.
Yes, we're taking my youngest for her first rock concert. So that kind of sparked this idea of memories associated with music and in particular concerts. Don, do you remember
I don't know if it
your
was,
first
oh
rock
my,
concert?
there's, well, I was one that I didn't. I didn't like going to concerts for the fact that I always thought, well, if I could take that same amount of money and buy one, or I could probably buy two albums for the amount of that money, then I could listen to them all the time except just that one night. But I did go because my friend Mike, in fact, I texted him just a little while ago to see if he'd respond to see if he could help me remember when our first concert was. But he was the one, you talked about sleeping, wanting to camp out. He was the one that would do that. I wouldn't do that because I was like, that isn't worth it to me to go sit and camp out on the cold ground or whatever. But one of the concerts I do remember us going to was the band Styx, um, because he made up a poster, this huge, I mean, it was huge. We had to both hold it up and we had to stand up on our chairs so that it was that big, and it said Sticks Kicks KYX. I think it's because he spelled it to match the lettering of the albums and all that. And we were getting all kinds of trouble from the people behind us because it was blocking, their view. But my friend Mike, he said, "I'm not getting down until they see my banner." And so we stood there, and I'm trying to think of the lead singer for Styx. It's not coming to me right now, but he he looked up at us. He pointed what we think he pointed to us. I'm not positive of that, and gave a thumbs up to it. And Mike was like, "That's great." And then we were able to put it down and sit down. But that was a cool concert. And what was really even cool about it, the start of it. Um, the again this lead singer, I can't think of his name. He
Tommy Shaw?
Tommy Shaw, yeah, he plays piano, and that all of a sudden this big cloud of like smoke filled the whole stage, and he come rising up as he's playing the oh, what is Sail Away, I think is the song that they do. And it was just a cool entrance to, him come rising up out of
Was
the
it him or was it Dennis DeYoung?
Dennis DeYoung. Yeah, Dennis DeYoung. He plays the piano and is really, I think,
Apparently the accordion too.
yeah. But that was a cool concert. I really enjoyed it. And like I say, my friend Mike, I give him kudos because he was the one that would always go get the tickets and do all that stuff, which I didn't like to do and didn't really want to do. I guess a bit of laziness, but also just like I said, concerts to me were that was a waste of money. I could get albums for that. So
I'm sure. Gosh, I wish I were probably have my tickets somewhere for my Billy Joel concert. I'm trying to
I was,
think talking about standing in line to buy concert tickets reminds me of college standing in line to register for classes for the
oh yeah.
following year. These are things that our children will never know.
Well, yeah, I
And I
guess
don't
not.
even know if the millennials will know. Everything's online now.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, yeah, we had to get up at crack of dawn. You had to be there like really early. I think it was even before 8 o'clock in the morning. You had to be ready to get in line when you registered. Um, and yeah, and then your classes would go like that. So that's one of the reasons you had to be there early and wanted to be in line.
Same with the concert tickets because these big shows would sell out, and if we wanted to be there, um, we we wanted to be. I'm
Lost
distracted.
in thought.
Because Don, you need to look at the
June,
computer screen and not at me,
sorry.
because it looks like you're looking off to the
Yeah,
distance.
it's true. Gina's sitting
Imagine
kind of not quite across from me, but kind of angled.
70s, right?
Yeah. Now you're looking over at me too. See?
No, I was doing that to demonstrate
Oh.
looking off into the distance and envisioning yourself at the Styx concert. You weren't paying attention,
Well,
apparently.
I did a lot more lawn type concerts where they had these SIU campus over in Illinois used to have these every summer would have these major and they were good bands I'm trying to think of some of the bands I saw there. I don't know if like I say my memory my gosh that was a long time ago but those were all I enjoyed those more than like in an arena because of well back then the arena would get filled with a smoke that you know anyway um but yeah those the outdoor ones were the ones I really enjoyed a lot more
I
the
remember going to the Allentown Fairgrounds to see bands. I know I saw the Bengals there. Oh, and I think I saw Howard Jones there too. Thinking about outside concerts there. Also, I have a memory, and I'm pretty sure it was Milli Vanilli. Was going to be playing somewhere in the area where I lived at the time. I was a teenager, and they didn't show up. But that was right around. They were the band that wasn't that Milli Vanilli who was lip syncing at their
they got in trouble
concerts.
for it I think so yeah
That's like all they did was lip sync, and I don't know if it was right about that time that that happened. I should look that up. Uh, and trying to find them. I went to quite a few rock concerts. I have all the T-shirts, most of them with my boyfriend through high school and college. Just a whole variety of bands. We went to see Fleetwood Mac. We went to see. Why can't I remember?
well one I wish I would have gone to well I wish I would have gone to a Fleetwood Mac back then but we went to one lately which we've talked about before but the other one would have been Supertramp and I don't know why I didn't but because they were one of my top five I guess of bands that I really liked when I was in my teen years.
Yeah, you could have gone to the Rumors tour, right? You were old
Hmm.
enough to have done that.
Yeah.
We saw Fleetwood Mac together ourselves when the only person there was Mick Fleetwood.
Wasn't John, I thought John McVie was there
Oh,
too.
Maybe
I think
John
the
McVie.
two of them were there, but the rest were all
That was at Charlotte at an outside pavilion, and he had a drum set on his
that
body that he played,
that
which
was
was,
that was the best part of the whole concert was that because the singing the singers like they had
I
in
remember she was kind of a country
country, yeah,
sound to
kind of
it.
twangy kind of sound, I guess, too, taking the place for Stevie Nicks, and there were two of them like because it takes that much power to to replace Stevie Nicks. But
Well,
yeah,
and Lindsey Buckingham's guitar. So flash forward many years later, it was, I don't know what year it was, Don, and I found out that Fleetwood Mac, all the five originals were coming to Charlotte. And I decided to surprise you for Christmas and get us tickets to it. And
yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, that
it was so exciting. And I remember like going online and be like, okay, I've got to get these tickets. And oh my gosh, it was like $90 a ticket for nosebleed, which is just insane. I can't remember what I paid
I
for
think it
my
was
first
actually a little more than that, if I remember right. I want to say it was over 100, but but
or combined the tickets, but I do remember, I want to say $10 was the price of the first concert shirt that I bought at the Billy Joel concert. And I know I took my daughter last summer, my older daughter, to see Bastille, which was a lot of fun. It was at the Fillmore in Charlotte, and it's a small bar venue, a standing venue. And she bought t-shirts. I'd say the cheapest was 35 or $45. It's just
yeah,
unreal. The cost of things has increased in 40 years. And that's the same venue where Lexi and I will be going tonight. It's April 15th. This will air later this week, I think.
yeah,
And, just that experience of band that you really enjoy and seeing them perform live and in a venue like that, I mean, they're really close to you. This is not that big of
Yeah,
a theater, and to be that close is even more exciting because most of those concerts I went to years ago, we were way in the back of um, the Spectrum Center in Philadelphia, whatever it was called at the time.
I don't think
Philadelphia's,
Spectrum was around
uh,
back in those days, the olden days.
gonna look it up.
But isn't it great that I mean, we saw Fleetwood Mac, and now they're no longer because,
Christy McVie
Chris
has
McVie's
passed.
gone, and uh, Lindsay is not
Well,
part of the group anymore.
but that happened a lot over the years from the
Yeah,
time
but I mean,
they would leave and go and come and tour with certain members and not with other members. So when they came back to tour with Christy McVie, John McVie, Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, and
Mick
Mick
Fleetwood.
Fleetwood, it was like a really big deal because they had
Yeah.
not done that. I'm not sure in how long.
Well, and then now there's no more opportunities to be able to see all of that. So it's neat to. So we're talking about this having with memories, and how music really, we've talked about memories for the aging population and how important it is, and as we think back on it, how these memories instantly draw you back to certain things, certain sounds, a lot of different stuff.
Things that were going on at the time, even our
Cat
first time
interruption.
we went to a concert as a family. Do you remember this, Don? James Taylor was playing at
Yeah.
Charlotte's Outside Arena, and for some reason there were still tickets available the day of the show. I'm not sure
Well,
why.
they were like lawn seats, which I think, there's a lot of room up there in the
So
lawn
this was
seats.
around 2000 because our only child at the time was a toddler.
Yeah, he kept circling us as we were watching.
Yeah, running around in circles on the lawn. I remember we got there, and I want to say the tickets were, they were $40 a piece, and you were like, "We shouldn't do this. This is too expensive." I'm like, "We're here. Let's do it." And I'm glad we did. It was a lot
Yeah,
of fun, and it's kind of fun to think back to that. And Harrison does like James Taylor.
yeah. Well, and the other things music have done for us as far as memories, you know, I call it the dancing Grammys, way back, it was my birthday when I
I
turned 40, I think it was.
I surprised Don and got some of his family to fly into the area, and we met at my parents'. They lived on the lake, Lake Murray, outside of Columbia, South Carolina at the time. And your mom came down with your brother, and your sister showed up with her kids at our place.
Yeah,
And when we went down there, my mom and your mom, who are a generation apart, it was Glenn Miller's.
in oh gosh, not in the mood. Yeah, and they started
The
dancing.
two of them were dancing, and we got a video of it, but we realized it's on VHS tape, and so
Well, what was neat for me was and you don't know this memory because well, you might know some of it, but my mom was loved to dance. That was her. When any wedding we'd go to, she would dance with anybody. It didn't matter. I don't know nowadays whether that would be looked on upon, but she would dance with her sisters and
that still happens
anybody,
every day.
Um, but I mean even like uh couples dancing kind of thing, that
Yeah, that's
but
still.
but she just and so it when even watching that at the time rush back those memories of the weddings and all of that, and I and my uncle Maurice, um he'd always sit these things out, but anytime you'd ask me, oh no, I'm gonna sit this one out, Jean. My mom's name was Jean, and she'd like, oh come on, Mar, and I don't think she ever got him to come up, but she got some of her other brothers and sisters to do the dancing. So it, it's it's neat that we have music to help us to hold on to these memories and enliven them, not just make memories come back, but I can vividly picture a lot of this stuff, which I think is really neat. And even when we go to that went to, I still have vivid pictures of when we were at Fleetwood Mac and we're standing there and we
That
just,
was that. I guess we've told that story on another
yeah,
podcast because we brought our younger two kids to my parents' house and we got a flat tire on the way. So we had to stop at the tire store. And where they lived is almost an hour from downtown Charlotte. So we had to stop and get a new tire. And then we went to dinner. And then we had to go stand in the line to get in the arena. And it was such an adventure. But at the time, it was a difficult time with the family. We had issues going on with our kids that were pretty significant. And so it was this opportunity for us to just get out and be a couple and have fun and do something we enjoyed. It's just a very powerful memory. You're talking about weddings, and oh, I have my family, they danced as well. My mom was always dancing at weddings, and I remember her telling stories about my great grandmothers. I may or may not have a memory of one of them dancing at a wedding, but I know she would always talk about how they would be out there dancing, especially my great grandma Elefante and my brother and my cousin Tommy sliding across the floor in their
yeah. Oh
socks.
yeah, as kids, yeah, yeah.
And because we had, and a lot of them were at the VW, um,
VFW.
VFW,
The VW would be in a bus in the back.
yeah, or in a little bug,
Beep, beep.
the VFW, and because my grandfather was a World War II vet.
Yeah, that's true. That was ours were at VFWs too up in Missouri. I think a good amount of them anyway were at the local.
They weren't these fancy, it wasn't a very fancy
No, not
place at
at all.
all. It was kind of old, but
Looked like something out of the military almost.
they had music. I can't remember if there were bands or probably more DJs, but we went to because I am of the age, my parents were both the oldest, a very large family. So I went to several of my aunts and uncles' weddings and have memories. And from the pictures of standing there, one of the weddings, my mom had made matching dresses for me and my sister, and hers was pink and mine was blue. And
And it's that and
better than a or a ha or
yeah, yeah.
do a podcast on pauses. So these are just lots of fun memories thinking about music and how it plays into our life with our family. I have a memory of another concert that we went to, and it slipped my mind.
Well, we went to Air Supply.
Oh, that
Remember
was
that?
fun.
Yeah, that
So my
was.
parents lived down outside of Newberry, South Carolina. They bought us for a birthday present. In
Mhm.
fact, I was pregnant with, was it Abby?
Well, didn't we do like a whole bed and
Yeah,
breakfast
she
thing or
got us a bed
something?
and breakfast night stay, and I'm trying to remember what year it was. If she watched
Good
two
gosh,
kids or
yeah.
just one
I
kid.
think it was two. I think it was.
Maybe I was pregnant with Lexi. And so we went out to eat and then we went to see Air Supply, the original members, playing at this Newberry Opera House, which is a real small town opera house. And I remember I had a full collection of all my cassette tapes because I'm a kid of the 80s and that's what I purchased and had a huge collection of music, unfortunately, on cassette tape. And I pulled out the Air Supply tape, which was the very first tape that I purchased.
Oh gosh, yeah,
And we put it in the player and making crackly noises, but we still listened to it because it
yeah.
was kind of funny. And it's, thinking about the money I spent through Columbia House Records and all those cassette tapes that I purchased. And the music now is just, it's not maintained the quality on those cassette tapes. And it's a shame.
When you talk about the first music you bought, of course, mine was album, and it was they it was one of those you see kind of late in the evening on TV, you know, and it was songs by the original artist, and they were songs by different artists. But I got it. It wasn't even in a sleeve. It was in this cardboard kind of container. It was just an album. And I found out later that the there was a band called Original Artists that did the songs. So they were, oh my gosh, they were. I was so because I had saved up the money and I, back then it wasn't like Amazon showed up the next day. It took weeks to get it. Um, and I was so excited to get it opened up and I'm playing it and I'm like, that doesn't sound like I don't even remember all the songs that were on there, but it was so disappointing. I don't know how I found out about well, I think it says it on the album. It made a disclaimer. This is the band is called the original artist, and it's not by the original artist of the song. So talk about a real disappointment as a child to, you know,
Remember how old you were?
maybe that was maybe that got threw me off concert. I don't know. Oh, I probably I'm guessing I was probably 10 or 11, I think, when they got it.
That's why you wanted to save your money to spend on actual albums so
Yeah,
that you
real albums by
didn't have
real
to
original artists.
listen to a cover of the songs by some obscure band called the
Yeah,
original.
because I'm trying to think of I think the first real album I got was Yes,
Hmm.
uh, it had the song Close to the Edge. That was I heard that. Talk about another memory of music and the way I found out that album from Yes was my friend Vic's brother. He used to drive us places and kind of a wild driver, but he would crank up music on it and we'd be flying down the road and that song Close to the Edge came on and I'm like, this is cool, so I had to like really remember it and to get the album. Um, and the other album story that I have was my friend Tom, my Aerosmith album. I think it was I'm pretty sure it was Aerosmith. He borrowed it and left it in his car, sitting in the back on what back then I don't think we have as much now, the hump from the transmission. He left it on there and it melted. It was almost looked like a cowboy hat. You could have turned it upside down because it was just bent.
The back dash, is that what that would be of the car?
No, this was down on the floor.
Oh,
He had laid it, he had, I don't know why he didn't, I don't know if it did it in the box or in the sleeve, but like I said, he brought it back to me and it was like this. Thank you.
should have saved that. That could have been
I guess so.
did it into a bowl.
At the time, I was a little too ticked too.
I bet you were. Did he replace it?
I think he did. I think he did replace it but it was this, I didn't think about it. We could have put it in the oven.
And that would have been interesting to then listen to it after the fact. Uh, the grooves in there for sure. Thinking about other concerts, I know you and I went to see, was it Foreigner, Styx, and somebody else played at the Outside Arena in Charlotte. We went 2 years ago.
We also went to Yanni.
Oh, yes.
That was my favorite. That was my thing. That's why I think I had a spiritual awakening.
What was that? You and I went in Charlotte, but you had gone before that to a Yanni concert, had you? No. Oh, okay.
No, that was the first time, and it was just I kind of lost myself in that concert. It was neat. It was a good.
Another memory is my sister was a huge fan of David Wilcox,
Mm.
and she had lived outside of Philadelphia with her husband, and they had gone to see like James Taylor played at like a local club or something, and David Wilcox had opened up for him, as I remember her telling me the story. And so she really got into David Wilcox, and he was coming to Charlotte. This was early days of our
That
marriages
was before kids, wasn't it?
before we had
Yeah.
kids. And my sister's like, "Do you want to go to this concert with us?" And we hadn't really heard much. We didn't know the artist, but we're like, sure, why not? And David Wilcox is quite the songwriter. He's a storyteller, and
Hmm.
he's got serious songs and he's got funny songs and just a whole variety. So we go to this concert. Was at Spirit Square in Charlotte. It was a nice
No,
small.
it was at a little. No, it wasn't Spirit Square. It was at this little church.
Don, you forget. We went twice. We went back to see him again, just
Oh
you and I, and then it was at that other venue. Pretty sure the first time, because
no, because I can remember you laughing and smacking your head, but we were with Greg. and your sister then?
We'll look that up. So we're listening
Argument.
and to him sing and tell his stories. And he's got this song called Blow 'em Away. And it's about right, road rage and being in traffic. And
I, I put it on the we did that one a couple podcasts ago. I put a little piece of it on that podcast.
and he sings, I took out my pistol and I blew it away. He sings about a motorcycle splitting
Mm.
lanes and
A little dog named Phoebe or
walking.
something stupid like that, he says.
And I never laughed so hard. And yeah, I threw my head back and it hit the seat behind me and just from laughing hysterically. And it was a lot of fun. That was, I don't know if I've done any other concerts with my sister in between going to see Billy Joel in 1982 and going to that concert. That was probably somewhere around 95 or 96. And, since then I became a big David Wilcox fan and you and I went again to see them. In fact, when we went back to see them, do you remember who opened for him?
Wasn't it Taylor's daughter? James Taylor's and Carly Simon's daughter?
Yes, opened for them. And but because he introduced them. I want to say David Wilcox went out there and introduced.
I don't remember that, but I do remember her playing.
And or maybe he did it after the fact. I don't know. I want to say he walked out there to introduce her. He's kind of cool like that. So yeah, these different memories of concerts, taking our children to their first concerts, going to a concert as a family. I don't believe as a child going to any concerts. Now
I
my
did. Glenn Miller didn't do concerts in the lawn, so for my parents.
my parents live in Sun City now, the 55 plus community, and they bring in people to bands to play music. In fact, there was somebody who did Billy Joel music that we were going to join them for
Well,
in
remember we just did
ABBA.
ABBA.
It was an ABBA tribute band, and you and me went with my mom to that show, and that was a lot of fun. And my mom was sharing memories of listening to Abby as a very young kid singing ABBA songs, and she didn't realize the story behind that. When our son Harrison was in a play, he was 8 years old, and he was in a theater production that they produced, and people paid money to go to the show with Charlotte's Web. And the last night of the show, one of the parents of the cast members rented limos and they took the kids out for pizza. And when he got in the limo,
There,
Dancing Queen was playing. So he became a fan of ABBA, and then Abby became a fan of ABBA, and we're all still fans of ABBA. So it was fun that we went to that. And Lexi was going to join us. And I remember her saying she didn't want that to be her first rock concert. An ABBA tribute band with a bunch of 55 plus people. So instead, we're going to see her favorite artist.
well, when I was in teens, the other big thing, and I think it was called Super Jam. Now I think about it, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was at Busch Stadium, but I think they also did one under the arch, but I can't have a hard time remembering. But those used to be, they were massive. I mean, you'd get I would say probably close to 1 million people, but I'm not sure that may be a little exaggerated, but it was a lot of it was a tough thing because I mean they literally filled the bleacher seats, but then also they had the whole field was covered, and then you had a small portion of it was actually the band. So because they used to have people that would pass out, and I think they actually one year had a person that died, because it just sitting out in the sun in the middle of July. Uh, anyway, so yeah,
So I grew up in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania, and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania had Music Fest, and it was free back then. And they had all kinds of music, rock music, folk music, polka music, and food and drinks,
yeah.
and we would go
I pictured John Candy at that point when you say polka. I don't know why, but
see a
sorry.
movie with polka. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
And I remember one year going with my friends, and I remember I invited this guy I worked with at the Blockbuster Video to join me. And he first said yes, and then he told me he couldn't go. And I remember like a week or so later, I met one of my to be boyfriends. And he had been there at the music fest as well. Not that we had run into each other, we didn't know each other. Um, but it was a festival that happened every summer. And I want to say they did a New Year's Eve thing, maybe in the same location, Don, and we were up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Maybe not.
When I was up in Penn, it sounds like I lived up there. I didn't live up there. I went up there.
I'm not sure if this memory was with you or my high school boyfriend. And we got tired of being out in the cold and
I don't know.
went back and we watched Princess Bride. So I'm not sure where that memory.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't quite place the memories, but they're there and they, like you say, they solidify. Like when I hear the song Susu Studio by Phil Collins, come on, I picture myself on, I believe it's Maud Chunk Road in Whitehall, Pennsylvania. And I think I was driving at the time. And I can see turning into the neighborhood where we lived. And
Oh, well,
just,
you talk about that. It mm, the day, the night my father passed away, um, driving in the car, going out to the hospital at 2:30 in the morning. Um, the song "Beware My Love" by uh, Beatles, the Beatle that's still around. I can help me out here,
well, there's two of them. There's Ringo
but
Starr and
no,
there's
but not Ringo.
Paul
Paul
McCartney.
McCartney. That is ingrained in my
What is the
brain.
name of the song?
Beware My Love. Because it was he had the radio on. My brother was driving, and my mom was in the front seat. I was in the back seat, and that one was going through my head. It was playing on the radio, and to this day, if I hear that song or even think about it, I can picture the whole drive, and I can picture getting there and the whole that day actually. Um, and that was yeah. So it has its, and I don't mind that at all. I like being able to remember that, and using that song to help me remember really helps me because I don't ever want to forget that kind of stuff. Um, that's, of course, the last time I
You were
saw my dad
going
alive.
because he was still alive when you got to the hospital.
Yeah, because we left at 2:30 in the morning. We got the call from that they said, you need to be in here. He's not doing well. So we all got up. My mom called my brother. He lived right up the street from us, so he came down and picked us up and drove out. And we went through this day of roller coaster, doing good, everything looking really good, and then and then up. And so he didn't pass away till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we were there from probably 3:30 in the morning till 1 o'clock when he passed away. So that, like I say, so anytime I hear that song, I flash back there.
The other one is leader of the band.
But that one, yeah, because it has the one line in it, the thundering velvet hand. Just that's my dad. That was my dad. You know, whenever we did, he wasn't a violent person, and he didn't really hit us or anything like that. If we got a spanking or something, it would be a bop on the butt or something. But his way of doing things was that compassionate but firm, and sometimes angry, but always had a compassionate side to it. And that song just, even though he wasn't a leader of a band, but his that
Well, he was the leader of your family, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Traditional kind of thought. Yeah, when I hear that song now, I think of you and your dad, who I never got to meet because he passed
yeah.
away when you were 17 and I was 6 and living in Ohio.
We tried calling, but you didn't know. I wanted
Done
to let you know.
a
I
long
mean,
distance phone
your
call.
future father-in-law's dying. Get down here.
I was 6 and there was no Uber.
Yeah, yeah.
We have so many memories of music, and I believe I may have shared this. My dad was in the hospital several times last year, and it's just funny. It took me till the third time, I believe, trying to have him have something to do, keep him busy, keep him occupied. We weren't there. And it's like music. Dad likes music. And it's like, how are we going to play the music? he doesn't have a smartphone. And if he did, he couldn't figure out how to manage it. And I went online and I purchased a radio CD player. And my mom had tons of music on CD still and brought some of his favorites. And it was fun to put the music on and play with him and, just talk with him about what we were listening to and telling stories. And I remember stories he told us about, um, he used the, you took a fine time to leave me, Lucille, by, who's that by? Whoever it's by. He would always sing, you took a fine time to leave me loose wheel, because he had a sales job and he was driving and his tires spun out from under him and it hit a Porsche. So he told us that story and kind of, I'm sure he wasn't laughing at the time, but laughed about it after the fact. And there's certain songs that I just attribute to my dad like that. But so we had this opportunity to listen to music and talk about music. And then my mom sent some calming music, and it's like piano music. And she now plays it every night at bedtime for him. And it helps, just soothing tones to help him calm down. And it kind of signifies that it's nighttime and it's sleep time. And I remember leaving messages at the hospital and the rehab, about playing the music for him to have that there for him, even though he couldn't engage enough to do any kind of activity on his own.
It was Kenny Rogers, I think. You must be fine time
Oh,
to leave.
yeah, that and the gambler.
Just a quick loose wheel I did. My friend Greg Stanley and I used to travel in his Volkswagen, sorry, in his Volkswagen bus, and we were driving along and we heard this really loud scraping noise. And he finally pulls over, and the axle on his, his bus came loose. And luckily, the wheel had a cover on it, so the wheel couldn't come off. But it was like peeling as it was going around, it was peeling the tire. Uh, anyway, so how are you creating memories with music, or just creating memories overall for you, your family?
Taking that opportunity to go to a concert with your parents, go listen to something that they enjoy, and me taking this opportunity to go with my teenage daughter to a concert and being there for her and supporting her. And, I really embrace myself into some of the music my kids like. And I've been listening to Same Hotel music for quite some time now, because I got these tickets back before Christmas. I gave them to her as a Christmas gift. She told me about the concert. We talked about going and we hawed over it. And then I decided to surprise her for Christmas. I like to surprise people with concert tickets.
Yeah, Christmas.
And so I'm enjoying, listening to the music. I have a very powerful memory when I took my daughter to see Philip Phillips. He was an American Idol winner, and we had watched that show together for a number of years, right around the time just before and after Don's heart attack. And we both love Philip Phillips. And she discovered he was coming to town. He toured with Matt Nathanson, and we got tickets, and it was an outside, smaller venue in Charlotte. And she was pretty young at the time, maybe 16. And that music had helped us through some difficult times.
Mm.
And it was powerful. She, still struggled in a crowd at that time, and just having that experience. And I found a whole new band there. A Great Big World opened. It was 2016 when this concert was, because Prince had passed away earlier that year. And the three of them, Matt Nathanson, Philip Phillips, and Great Big World, came out and they sang Raspberry Beret together.
Ah,
And it was really awesome.
ah.
And celebration of Prince. And it was a lot of fun, and just that connection that I had with her. And I love these opportunities to do things like this. When my kids are in the car with me, sometimes if they're going somewhere it's stressful for them, I'll say, okay, put your playlist on, but what do you want to listen to?
Yeah.
So share stories of music and think about music opportunities. And if a song comes on, does it bring back some memories? And what kind of memories are there? And maybe we need to tap through it if they're difficult memories to think about, or even just tapping up the joy of experiencing it and how music can lift our mood and enlighten us.
Well, and I'll put just a little plug in here for Sage Stream. Remember Anthony Cirillo? We did a podcast on it. If you want a concert to come to you, are to your aging parent, that's what Sage Stream is. They bring it into your living room with some really neat little band concerts that go
They
on. So
stream
just
it.
yeah,
Yeah, you get the streaming version.
yeah.
And it's yeah, it's a neat opportunity that he's doing and looking doing in a lot of like facilities of senior centers and places like that. There are so many different ways, and music can also connect us across generations. So thinking about how, bringing together family members and listening to music of there. I've got another story before we
Okay.
wrap up. My parents' 25th wedding anniversary. My sister decided she wanted to plan a surprise party for them. And so that summer, I was doing an internship, um, I believe, for my occupational therapy program in college. And there was a family gathering on my mom's side going up to New Hampshire. And we decided not to go, at least me and my sister. And my mom was kind of annoyed. But the reason we didn't go was we were prepping for the party. And my sister was like in charge of, she really organized it. She contacted the people and reached out to family, and everybody brought different food items to share. And I was in charge of the music and the pictures. And my mom had this big bin under her bed of pictures, and I took a bunch and made a collage. And I had a really fun time going through their music and albums and even 45 records and put together, I probably recorded on cassette tape, um, of songs, from their generation growing up in the 40s and 50s. And I remember that's when I discovered the song Bird Dog.
Weren't they more like 50s and 60s? I think.
Well, I mean, they were born in the early 40s, so they like 40s music. So a lot more 50s music. But who sings Bird Dog?
We can look that up. I think we need to.
But I discovered, some new music and just, I go right back to that. And goodness, we've been married more than 25 years now, and my parents beyond 50. And so there's so many opportunities out there. So that's our podcast for today. It's a wrap. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you will share this with your friends and family, get talking about music together. Be sure to check out all of our other podcasts, our Tuesday tips for parents that we air every Tuesday. You can also get that by email. It's a short 15 minutes or less podcast. We just focus on kind of one tip that can be helpful for parents. Be sure to check out our website, focusedhealthyfamily.com. You can see our blog there, connections to social media, Facebook, and Don's speaking pages there.
Tuesday tips, did you mention that? I'm not in my my zone for a second, but we have Tuesday tips every Tuesday.
So, audience, did I talk about Tuesday tips? We'll let Don go back and listen to it. And like us on Facebook. We're revamping our Instagram account, so more of that to come. And you can watch us on YouTube with these podcasts. We've been doing this over 2 years now. Be sure to look back on prior podcasts, and you can research the different topics because we've covered everything from parenting children of all ages, as well as juggling, caring for yourself, your children, and aging loved ones at the same time.
And remember, how you speak to your kids today shapes their future and yours.